In this tutorial, we're going to look at building some kind of spiral staircase. So here's the example that we're probably going to end up with something very similar to this, where it just kind of has these steps that go round in a circle. Now there are many different variations on this that you could choose to go with, and to be fair, the creativity is completely up to you. There's also a whole bunch of different ways of building paths that go round in a spiral, and it's quite a difficult thing because when you think of this, there's actually two steps involved in this. The first, or actually three. The first is you create the steps on a flat plane. Then the second, the steps have to go up and round multiple times. In actual fact, Sketchup doesn't offer very many tools to kind of do these things, so we're just going to look at a few kind of workarounds so you can actually make things like spiral steps or springs and things like that. So let's start a new file. So if we come into here and we say new, I'm going to start with meters, and we're just going to have a go at building that exact same thing step by step. So how I started with this was by just creating a circle and then dividing it all up. So let's just get this exactly the way I want it. It's playing up on me a little bit. There we go. So we'll start with a circle. So if you can't see the circle, it's going to be under the rectangle tool. And we click on the circle, and then from the pivot point or from the origin, we click and we drag out. Now it does help if you have an exact measurement. So I'm going to make mine about, let's say 10 meters. So if I just type in 10 and then press enter, we'll get exactly 10 meters. Now each of these, a circle can be divided up. It's really useful. Actually, let's undo that because there is one step you do need to make sure you do, and that's when you're pulling out, make sure you pull out along an axis. If you don't pull out along a red or green axis, it can cause you a few issues. So now I've done that, that should work a bit better. Now using the pencil tool, we're going to divide this circle up. Now each of these has about 24 steps, and I'm just going to divide it into three. So I'm going to start on this red axis, and I'm going to click once. Once I've created, undo, from the origin and then to the red axis, I'm going to click once. And then once I've done that, to stop the line from keep drawing, I'm going to press escape. And then I'm going to come back to the origin and I'm going to draw out again. So we have this one here, but I'm going to go 3 out. So that's 1, 2, 3. Okay. So the next one, it hasn't done it again. Let me try it one more time. So click once, 1, 2, 3, and then let go. Press escape again, and then 1, 2, 3, which should bring me on that green axis, and then again, so press escape and then click forward. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and then press escape from the origin again. It's a bit repetitive, but there are a few tools that I'm going to show you to kind of help you build arrays, which should make this a little bit faster as well, which should be quite nice. On the green axis, and then we've got one more line here. 1, 2, 3, and there we go. We should have all of our divisions already set up. So let's go back to the arrow tool, press escape so we've cleared our selection. Now the best way that I've found in order to build out the steps is just to start from the first one and then just start dragging them out. So if I use the push-pull tool, I can just literally lift it up as high as I want it to. So the amount that I want to lift it up to is probably going to be, I mean, one meter is probably a bit big. This seems it's going to be a massive staircase. Let's just type 1, press enter, and then we'll have this. Okay, so on the next one, we can drag this up and it will give us a division here, an offset limit, and that's absolutely fine because we just drag once and let go, and then drag again and then press 1, and that will give us the step that we want. And as we follow this round, I'm just rotating it, clicking it up, clicking again, pressing 1 followed by enter, and once again quite repetitive. But that's what we've got to do here to start off with. Like I said, there are a few other ways of doing this, but this so far has given me the best results. So let's just drag this out. We've got one more to do. So let's just drag that one out. Oh, it's got 2 limits on it. Okay, and then press 1. So we have all our steps, and if you wanted to, you could leave it like that, and you could come into it and just kind of keep building around this block, and that would probably work. I mean, we can try that if you like. So let's just click and drag this, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and match this edge here to this edge here. So in order to do that, I've got everything selected. I press the move tool. Whilst pressing the move tool on this anchor point or this vertex, I'm going to hold down the Alt button. So hold down the Alt button, click, drag, and then just follow it up until you have this. And this is the kind of thing you get. So it did cause a little bit of a problem in the fact that this is still kind of there and it's going to block out the steps, which, you know, you could work around that with this next step. So let's just have a go at the next bit, which for me, I have to work from the underside of this model now. So if I just turn it upside down, you'll notice that it does have this gap. So you have to rebuild the inside. For some reason, when you do it off of a circle, it kind of deletes this bottom layer. It's not actually the biggest problem in the world, because all we're going to do is grab the pencil tool, click from the center again, and then drag it downwards. And then from here, we're just going to rotate it around, and we're going to go to this point here. And then from there, we should just be able to draw one more line, and it will fix this all for us. So let's go back to the origin, press escape, and then over to this point here, and voila. In order to get all the steps though, you do need to follow it round just like we did on the top. So just going round, pressing escape. Once again, this is more time consuming than difficult. But the good thing is we can repeat it and use the Alt key to actually do a lot of those repeats for us, which is quite useful in the end. Let me just work it round and we'll try and get this finished as quickly as we can. Okay, now for this next bit, in order to make this a bit faster, I'm not going to be as accurate as I would do, and you can type yours out, but I'm just going to push it all the way through just to give us those things. And you'll notice I'm just going to put it in the middle so that the steps overlap, so there's no gaps when we get to the end. And once again, you will hit the limits as you go through. That's not a problem either. So let's just keep going, and we'll get this exactly the way we want it. Okay, so it's been quite a long video, but most of these steps are very repetitive. Now on this point here, you've got another choice. You can get rid of this or you can leave it there. Actually, you will need to get rid of it, otherwise it will just kind of create a blanket there, which probably not what you want. Let's just get rid of that one, get rid of this line, and then you'll notice we have the basis for our model. And we can use the same technique as before, so we select it, and then with the move tool, we just hold down the Alt button, and we're trying to get it to this point here. So this bottom one all the way to this top one. Ready? So hold down the Alt, click, drag, and then let go. And we have that. Now, there is another technique. So let me just undo that, because we can actually multiply this so we have loads more layers. So if I just undo this, Control Z to undo, go back to my arrow tool to select. And you have to do this at the same time that you do the copy move. So I'm going to copy it. So I'm going to press down Alt, click, drag. Now when I let go of Alt, let go of the key, the mouse, and then let go of Alt. Now I'm going to press X for copy a number of times, so times something. And I'm just going to put 3. So I want it to copy 3 times, and then press Enter. And then what you notice is you get the copies that you want. Once again, there's loads of variations on this, and you can experiment. You can make your own spiral staircase, and you can make it a lot more fancy than that. You can add some extra bits to it if you want to. Another thing that I quite liked when I did this before was on these edges here. If you go to the move tool and press escape, and you just select each of these edges, you can actually make it so that as it curves round, so press escape, click on this edge, and as it curves round, it kind of gives you this nice straight line going through. So press escape, click, and up. And obviously, Control Z. And obviously, if you do that on your first layer, that will copy through with everything else, and it will give you this nice straight line at the bottom. You can obviously add some railings as well if you want to. But that's as far as I'm going to take this. So your mission is to create a spiral staircase of your own design.